Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of December 12th, 2011. Mr. Spagna, would you please call the roll?
Allen.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
Gibbons.
Here.
Hannon.
Present.
Harrison.
Present.
McLean.
Here.
Lowry.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Pate.
8 members present. Before we stand to the Pledge of Allegiance, I just wanted to notify the public, it's with great regret and sadness to inform you that longtime resident, member of the Bethel Park Municipal Authority, and chairman of the Bethel Park Municipal Authority, Joe Tagliaferro, has passed away. Joe was a member of the Bethel Park Municipal Authority since 1984 and has served as its chairman since January 12, 1995. His uncommon dedication and leadership will be missed by all. I would ask that we stand for a moment of silence following the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time I'd like to turn to chair announcements. The executive session of council was conducted on December 5th, 2011 to discuss contractual and personnel issues. And tonight, before we came out, December 12th, 2011, for discussion of contractual and personnel matters. This time I'd like to turn to the reports of the officials and the librarians' report.
Good evening. My name's Christine. I'm the director of Your Public Library, where we provide services to inform, inspire, and enrich the community. I want to make the community aware that we have a top public library in our community. The Bethel Park Public Library was awarded one of the top public libraries in the Pittsburgh region by the Pittsburgh Business Times. We just received a plaque. This actually was for 2010, but it takes a long time to get these things. So this will be on display in the library. So just want to make you aware that you have a very good asset here. Some programs that the library has coming up. Tomorrow, the 13th of December, the Pittsburgh South Writers Group will be meeting at the library at 7 o'clock. This group meets monthly at the library, and they offer writers of all genres the inspiration and constructive criticism needed to improve their work. And then Thursday, December 15th, from 5 to 8 p.m., there's an early bird registration for our winter reading program. It's called Chill Out at the Library. It's for school-aged children. It will run through the month of January, and as the kids read books and they come and check in with us, they get a raffle ticket for each book that they read and a small prize each time they report. At this early bird registration program, the kids are going to make a cool pair of mittens that we'll display in the library and also decorate for the winter. And we have hot chocolate and cookies, of course. Fundraising, we do have a Kindle Touch raffle going on. It's the monthly Kindle Fire, not the color one, it's the Touch. And it's $5 per chance. We'll be drawing that next Monday, the 19th. And we have our lottery read. We have $50 of instant lottery tickets on a Christmas wreath, $2 per chance, and we will also be drawing that on Monday the 19th. And just a reminder that our annual fund drive appeal went out by email, and it's also available on the library website, so if you're considering your own donation, please remember the library. The library will be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We will reopen on the 26th at 1 o'clock, not 9 a.m. We'll be here at 1 o'clock. And then we'll also be closed New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We'll be open on Monday, January 2nd at 9 a.m. For more information on these and any other programs and services offered by the library, you can check our website at bethelparklibrary.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. At this time, we'll turn to the police chief's report. And Chief Mackey.
What you're doing there, but
If you want to use the other microphone.
Nothing you say is. Hey, they still applauded. So
Good evening, everyone. Now that we got that straightened out, I just have a couple of items this evening. One is a reminder that the food drive ends on Wednesday. Our donations are down a little bit this year, so we still have another day to get some donations in. And also, again, the food drive actually occurs on Wednesday morning down at the fire hall. So if anybody would like to make a donation prior to that, they can drop off their items at the police department or down at the fire hall on Brightwood Road on Wednesday morning. As I'm talking about the food drive, there's a couple people I'd really like to thank, and one is 2 men in a truck. They provided all the boxes for the food drive. Rodney up at Al's Cafe, who donated 100 turkeys. Giant Eagle, Shop and Save, and Walmart, who last Saturday allowed police officers and volunteers to collect donations outside their doors last Wednesday, and we collected over $1,700 in donations and an additional 50 boxes of food. So thanks to all the businesses in Bethel Park who chipped in and helped make this a successful program. The Citizens Police Academy is still collecting or still accepting applications up until January 5th. We are on track to have the largest class ever for our academy. Right now we have 41 applicants. We used to cut it off at 30. This year we're hoping to hold the classes up at the new high school, and we think we'll have bigger facilities and we can accommodate more, I'll call them senior cadets. But again, we're up to 41 applicants. That's pretty good. This is a program, as you might recall, a few years ago, we actually had to end the program due to lack of interest. And now the interest is back up, and we greatly appreciate that. And while I'm on that subject, I'll also mention that we are still soliciting for Crime Watch members. Again, our goal is 1,000 by the end of the year. We're getting closer. We're not quite there. But if you're interested in signing up for Crime Watch, you could do so by contacting Officer Rigatti at the police department. There are last two items I wanted to mention. One is a lot of people are annoyed when they get phone calls from solicitors and they don't want to deal with it. You can sign up on the Do Not Call list. We've made that a little bit easier. If you go to the Bethel Park website and click on the Crime Prevention tab, we actually have a link to the Do Not Call site. So please go on. If you don't want to get those nuisance calls, please do so. The only thing I will mention as far as that's concerned is, as you know, here in Bethel Park we have the Swift Reach notification system, and I fear that if people don't recognize the number that's coming on their caller ID, they may ignore the call. I believe it still comes up as Municipality of Bethel Park, so if you see that on your caller ID, please answer the phone. We only use Swift Reach to put out what we feel are extremely important messages, something that we want every resident to hear. So if you ever look at your caller ID and see Municipality of Bethel Park, please pick up the phone. And finally, I wanted to make mention that we received a few complaints this past month involving scams. And basically, the way the scam works is people are receiving phone calls at home, and they're typically our senior population. They'll receive a phone call from someone who claims to be a relative, that they were involved in some type of accident, that they're either in the hospital or they've been arrested and they need money, and they need money quickly, they need it desperately. And what they do is they ask people to go and get a money order and send them thousands of dollars. We've had a couple people victimized by that. If you ever receive that type of call, we want you to please contact the police department. We have alerted some of the businesses in the community that issue money orders and ask them to please call the police department if an elderly person comes in asking for money orders that they want to send out for thousands of dollars, because we want to make sure that we don't have any more people victimized. So, I mean, typically if you receive a call and it doesn't sound quite right, it probably isn't, and we ask you to call the police department. You know, much like when you receive that phone call that says you've won $10 million, but in order to claim it, send us $50,000 to get your millions. That doesn't happen. So, and likewise, we ask you to be very careful if you get those phone calls, and please report them to the police department. And finally, on behalf of the men and women of the Bethel Park Police Department, would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that, Mr. Chairman, is my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Hearing none, I don't think anybody's here from the fire department's their annual reorganization meeting. So we'll turn to the mayor's report, and Mayor Morton.
Good evening, everyone. This works, Chief. I don't know what's wrong. It's good seeing everybody here tonight. We only have 2 or 3 quickie items. We'll start with our normal happy birthday wishes to those people that we have identified and know about who are 90 years old or older. And we'll begin with Dorothy Hawkins. Happy birthday, Dorothy. She was born on December 24th, 1920. She's 91 years old, and I always felt sorry for these kids who were born on Christmas. I feel that they either don't get a birthday or they get no Christmas, one or the other. Also, we want to wish happy birthday to Claire Pachavis, who is 92, Victoria Borchik, who will be 93 on December 23rd, and actually Claire's going to be celebrating her birthday the same day, December 23rd. Ella Bauer will be 94. We wish her a happy birthday coming up on the 26th. And Ethel Manuel will be 98 on December 28th. Teresa Bombera, 98 on December 17th. And lastly, Mildred Delaney will be 99 or was 99 on December 2nd. So happy birthday to all these elderly ladies. We wish them a Merry Christmas as well. Secondly, this coming Sunday, the annual Christmas concert will be over at the community center. It's a free concert. It is a fantastic holiday concert because we have a big band, we have the high school singers, and we have a bell. In the past, at least, they've had a bell choir come over from Mount Lebanon. So it's a great couple hours of music if you like holiday and Christmas music. And lastly, a reminder, the Christmas lighting contest is coming up. We're in the throes of it right now, and if any of you out there want to make sure that your neighbor or your house gets looked at by our judges, send me an email at mayor@bethelpark.net, and I'll get that and make sure the judges in that particular area get over to see that those lights, whoever was being recommending them, or who is recommending them. Also, if the people that we've asked to be judges this year will respond. We've missed a couple of districts yet that we don't have judges for, so if you've gotten a letter from us, please let us know whether you can do it or not, and we'll take care of that. Other than that, I too will join the Chief in wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to turn a little different. We have Mark Magalotti from Trans Associates is going to give the public an overview, an upcoming project, the Broughton Baptist Road intersection. This project started, I won't even care to say, 1991, 92. We were on again, off again, on again, off again, the transportation plan by PennDOT. But having said all that, the program is moving forward. Construction will start in the spring, and we thought it would be a good idea to have Mark give an overview to the public on what to expect at that intersection upgrade. Mark?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and it is a happy occasion because, as you mentioned, it has been a long time in planning and design, and finally this project is moving ahead. I have to commend the council and the municipality for staying with it all these years and working collaboratively with PennDOT to get this project done. I think it will be a tremendous improvement for the community. It's going to eliminate a major bottleneck and really be an improvement for the entire South Hills communities. But in order to reap the benefits of that, we have to endure a little bit of pain for the construction period. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about the construction. The project is moving ahead. I'll just give you an overview of the project itself. Initially, the project is about $3.9 million to improve the intersection of Broughton Road and Baptist Road. Bids have been received by PennDOT. As you know, PennDOT is responsible to oversee the construction on this project. The municipality put together the plans for this. Plum Contracting is the apparent low bidder. PennDOT is going through the process now of reviewing all the bids and will be making an award soon. In order to construct the improvements to this intersection, it's going to take 2 years, 2 construction seasons to go through the process. And the construction will begin this coming spring around the middle of March. To develop the improvements, and I'll talk in a minute just about what the improvements are at the intersections. There are multiple phases of construction. There's various changes to the traffic patterns that will occur in order for the construction to occur. It's a very difficult project to build because it's a very constrained area. We're widening the roads. We want to do the minimum to disrupt the residents and the adjacent property owners. So I'm going to turn here to the plan of the intersection and talk a little bit about what are the improvements. This is the intersection of Baptist. This is Baptist Road and this is Broughton Road shown on the plan here. This is, as I mentioned, one of the most congested intersections in the municipality. Maybe just to orient you, this direction on Broughton Road is towards Library Road. This direction on Baptist Road is towards the entrance to South Park.
I just suggest maybe if you work on this side, the cameras will be able to pick up the...
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about speaking to us.
Okay, I can do that.
Yes.
Let me shift over here a little bit, and I'll turn that a little bit. As I mentioned, just to orient you, this is Baptist Road on the plan, and this is Broughton Road. Library Road is in this direction. The entrance to South Park is this direction on Baptist Road. The project, when completed, will be adding additional lanes to the intersection. As you come north on Baptist Road, it will be widened to 3 full lanes. So there's a separate left turn lane, a separate lane to go straight, and a separate lane to turn right. Much of the traffic coming on this leg turns right to go onto Broughton Road. The other 3 legs of the intersection will also be widened, so there will be left turn lanes on all 3 legs of the intersection. Another major feature of the project will a stormwater detention pond will be constructed along this section of Baptist Road in order to collect the stormwater and not create any type of flooding hazards in the area. So let me talk a little bit about the construction phases and how we'll be going through those. There will be a highway contractor that will be responsible for the majority of the construction. However, there will be utility companies, gas companies, and electric company, others that will be out there working periodically. Many of the utilities have to be moved out of the way so the road can be widened. The first phase of construction will start in about March and will go to around July of next year. And that first phase of construction is going to close the southern leg of the intersection of Baptist Road. This leg of the intersection will be completely closed. There's a lot of earth moving and grading that has to be done along this section of the roadway. Broughton Road will become the remaining 3 legs of the intersection will become one-way traffic operation. You'll be able to travel west on Broughton Road and you'll be able to travel south on Baptist Road, but you will not be permitted to make the opposing movements. There will be detours posted on all the roads leading to the intersection, so if a particular movement is not permitted, there will be detour signs that will direct you to the appropriate detour around the intersection. As I mentioned, that first phase of construction will last roughly 4 or 5 months. The second phase of construction, which will also occur during the construction season next year, will begin around July. It will go for about 2 months. And what will happen then is the southern leg of the intersection, which will have been closed previously, will be opened up so that you will have one-way traffic coming southbound. So basically, the traffic patterns during this period, traffic will be able to travel south on Baptist Road and will be able to travel west on Broughton Road. Much of the construction will be completed at that point on Baptist Road on the southern leg, and will be permitted to open it up at least for one-way traffic. Next summer, there will be also a third phase of construction. At that point, sometime around August of next year, the work will be completed on this leg of Baptist Road. So Baptist Road will be opened up again for two-way traffic operations. The traffic signal will remain in operation during this entire time. They'll be making temporary changes to it, moving the poles around, but it will always be in operation, controlling the traffic at the intersection. And this leg, Baptist Road, will be completely done at this point, both the southern leg and the northern leg. And the only construction that will continue will be on Broughton Road, so that you will be able to travel westbound on Broughton Road, but not eastbound. And that will pretty much wrap it up for the first construction season. Sometime around the end of October, early November, the project will shut down for the winter. When that happens, traffic patterns will be restored to their normal operation. There'll be two-way traffic at the intersection. All the movements that you typically can make, all the travels that you can do at the intersection will be restored during that winter construction season. The contractor will be responsible to maintain that during the winter season. You may see some construction going on there relative to utilities during that time period. In the spring of 2013, probably around March or April of that year, the second year of construction will begin, and the construction will continue along Broughton Road. As I mentioned, during the first year, 2012, all construction should be completed on Baptist Road, but construction will continue along Broughton Road probably throughout the summer. There's some walls that need to be constructed and some other construction necessary. But we're hoping, and it is scheduled, that by the end of 2013, the second construction season, everything should be completed and the intersection should be opened back up again. And I'd just like to say that, the final construction of this project is going to significantly increase safety at the intersection. It's going to reduce delays significantly, and it's going to be a tremendous improvement for the community once it's completed. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from council?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dixon.
just wanted to mention something to the residents, that we are looking at certain traffic signage and some other means to protect some of the neighborhoods against shortcut traffic going through the neighborhoods, trying to circumvent this intersection. We've experienced this in the past when PennDOT replaced the bridge on Baptist Road. That is the bridge right by Millennium Park. We proactively tried to prevent some of that from happening. A lot of the people in Bethel Park know the shortcuts through the neighborhoods, so they found their way into some of those shortcuts. We reacted to the complaints of the neighbors in those neighborhoods. We put up some temporary traffic control measures and some other things, and so we expect that we're going to try to be proactive again this time and prevent some of that from happening. If it does happen, we'll react to it the way we did the last time, and we'll do our best to protect the neighborhoods from shortcut traffic. Plus, the additional volume through some of those neighborhoods could create some hazards that we want to try to avoid as well. So, with Mark's help, we've been working with PennDOT on that. I just wanted to make sure the neighbors knew that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
And just as a quick overview, when we started this project, at least in my time, our initial budget, I think we talked, was $1 million. And the municipal contribution, I believe, was about $250,000. We have now probably have over $1 million. The project has changed. The dynamics have changed a little bit. But ultimately, a $250,000 project will cost us well over $1 million when it's all complete. Having said that, I think it'll be better in the end if we can get through all these construction seasons. Thank you very much, Mark. Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn to the approval of the minutes, and Mr. Allen.
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of November 14th, 2011.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the regular council meeting minutes of November 14th, 2011. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Hannan.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls, and Mr. Allen.
I move that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 121211 in the amount of $857,584.82.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 121211 in the amount of $857,584.82. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagna, would you please call the roll?
Dixon.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Hannan.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the resident comments section for non-agenda items. If you'd like to come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and we do have a 3-minute limit. At the end of 2 minutes, the manager will signify and would ask you to conclude your comments. Sir, if you could direct, you're to be speaking to council, that's what I'd ask you to do.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Dave Carp, and I live at 5747 King School Road. Many residents may not be aware that the Bethel Park Municipal Council passed an ordinance last month that increased Bethel Park municipal property tax by 34.4% effective January 1, 2012. I am speaking tonight on behalf of the Citizens Tax Repeal Petition Committee that was formed to give the voters of Bethel Park the opportunity to repeal this unnecessary 34.4% tax increase. The Tax Repeal Petition Committee's goal is to collect more than 2,800 signatures. Once we complete this effort, Municipal Council will be forced to repeal the 34.4% tax increase ordinance within 30 days. Or the 34.4% tax increase ordinance will be placed on November 10, 2012 election ballot as a binding referendum so the voters of Bethel Park can determine whether the tax increase ordinance will be repealed. Tables will be set up in the municipal building along with other locations for the convenience of the citizens who would like to sign the tax repeal petition to stop this unnecessary 34.4% tax increase. This is an example of the petition, and it is back here on the table tonight, along with an information packet. Bethel Park registered voters are encouraged to sign and/or circulate the tax repeal petition. We encourage you to please call the tax repeal petition hotline. I'll put this up for just a minute. 412-475-8065. This is a 24/7 hotline. Council is invited to call it also. So call this number if you would like to sign or circulate a tax repeal petition. Again, that number, as you can see, is 412-475-8065. Thank you, and please call the tax repeal petition hotline if you have any questions, need further information, or if you'd like to sign or circulate the tax repeal petition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other residents that would like to speak?
Mr. Maury,
Mr. Harrison.
I'd like to thank Mr. Carr and the members of the Tax Petition Committee for giving the citizens taking the responsible action to give the citizens a chance to speak to this issue. And I'd like to suggest that counteracts, that responsible position counteracts what I consider is the irresponsible position of council and the mayor. Now, I'll just take a few minutes to tell you why I make that charge. I think we have a very good professional staff, and that staff recommended to live in the manner we've been living I've been told we don't want to deteriorate the character of the community. They recommended a 57.3% increase in the real estate tax. I wrote a letter to the Almanac, which they very generously published, indicating that I thought that there were things that we could do, work on what I call the niceties to reduce the expenditures, and it created a little stir in the community. I don't know how many of my fellow council members detected it, but I certainly did, and I was the author of the letter. In any case, the staff then presented 3 other scenarios, lesser tax, and the minimum was a 43.6% increase. And so last month, I came to the meeting, that was November the 14th, with a spreadsheet showing the effect of the proposals. And 10 minutes before we came on this floor, Mr. Maury announced that the tax increase was going to be considerably less than the amount that we'd been presented before. So I've updated the spreadsheet. There's copies over on the table. But the bottom line is that the increase with that the ordinance approved is 34.4%. Now, why do I say irresponsible? I think that this governing body has to decide whether they want to live the way we've been living, so to speak, to carry through the community, and then have the spine to increase the taxes to cover that, or they ought to pass an ordinance with a tax level that will fund the things that they say should be funded now, and they've taken a few out. But they didn't do either one of those. They didn't do either one of those. And what happens is that the so-called rainy day fund or the reserve, which is normally maintained at about $3 million plus, with this tax increase is proposed to be $1.8 million for 2012. And in 2013, we won't have any rainy day fund. It'll be in the hole. It really can't be in the hole in the sense that you just don't put money in, but when you crank out the numbers, so what I'm suggesting is, and I think what the Tax Petition Committee is going to force council to do, is take a responsible position to decide what are the items that we ought to be funding and set the tax rate to cover that, because in the vernacular they're kicking the can down the road, because in 12 they're going to have a rainy day funds about half of what we normally have, and in 13 we're not going to have any rainy day fund at all based on the numbers provided by the municipal staff. So I simply want to alert council and the public that's the goal. I'm just going to tell you one bothersome thing, then I'll give it up. Mr. Maury said in the caucus room about 10 minutes before we came on the floor at the November meeting, November 14th, that the taxing rate that was going to be put on the floor was a 34.4% increase. Let me tell you what bothers me. When Mr. Maury made that announcement in the caucus room, one person reacted to that announcement. That person happened to be this councilman. Now, there's something wrong. Either the other council members knew about it before that, and if that's true, that's probably as a result of an illegal act, or Mr. Maury, pass the gavel there, Mr. Maury making that dictate, maybe his fellow council members are like the czars that work for Obama. When he speaks, they bow and say, yes, sir. I don't know which it is, but I can tell you I didn't know about it, and I can imagine the people I sit here with being told that at that time without any foreknowledge and just sitting there and smiling. Thank you very much.
No, Mr. Meyer.
Yeah, thank you. Please don't confuse me. I'd like to say I was going to try to hold off on my comments about Mr. Harrison, but I will just say if what he said tonight was true, is a good story, but it isn't. Let's talk about the 700-foot, $5,000 road that Mr. Harrison proposed. He collected petitions for, he got all kinds of signatures. He told the people a story that sounded real good, but the reality of it is, it was $1 million road. Now, I like in his discussion tonight is the same thing. I mean, I'll say that Mr. Harrison talks about necessities and niceties. When 2 months we spent on the budget, you know how much Mr. Harrison disagreed with council on taking out of the budget? And you would think by hearing his speech, and he's a career politician, that he proposed a lot of changes. $1,500. Everything else that was proposed to look at, Mr. Harrison voted to keep in. That is the fact. We had a list of items to look at. Mr. Harrison talked about getting a wish list. We go through the list of items, and Mr. Harrison says, when we're done, I need a list of items. It's like, Dawn, if you would have spent your time productively looking at the budget and coming up with suggestions, you know, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation. But he likes to come out here and throw stones. It's easy to vote no and say, you know, I'm against this, and this form that he's passing out, I'll let you know, the taxpayers paid to print it and put it out here. Now, is that responsible government? He took it upon himself to use the municipal copier. So, I mean, if he wants to cut spending, let's start looking in the mirror. But to come out here and pretend that you are an advocate for the residents and pretend you have an idea, he doesn't. I'll ask Mr. Harrison tonight, and I'll get into this and maybe later on the agenda. There's $1.4 million at this 0.75 mil increase brings in roughly. I will ask and challenge Mr. Harrison to bring us $1.4 million in niceties that he claims it's in there back to this council and let us talk about it. Don't hide, Dawn. Tell the people the truth for once.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Any other comments? If we can turn to...
Mr. Allen.
Who's that? Mr. Hanna?
This is one thing that's somewhat bothersome to me. One of the things that Mr. Harrison said about the budget as proposed, the 1.25 mil increase, that was based on projections for future years. And staff is not going to underproject future years. There's no way they know what the medical benefits are going to cost, what purchasing is going to cost, so they project high. It's future years. To base a tax increase on future years is not, that's why we reduced it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to tax the people to build a rainy day fund so we can sit up here and spend it down. That doesn't make any sense. But that's the numbers that the original budget was based on. That's why we took time and care and went through each line item and went through the budget carefully. And there was items that council chose to keep in. As Mr. Mowry said, there was things that Mr. Harrison, there was a whole list of things. There wasn't just one or two. There was like 10 to 15 items that went around the table for consensus to keep in. And pretty much he agreed to keeping every one of them, except for I think the veterans luncheon on Memorial Day. He wanted to get rid of that. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that people have to realize is disingenuous to people. That you have to realize that it's easy to sit on the outside without knowing the facts. But my friends, those are the facts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
I'm kind of confused. you're upset because we didn't raise the millage higher to cover this. So that's why you formed the petition committee. But the real essence of it is you made it very clear from the day one of these negotiations in the budget, as I call them, that you weren't voting for any tax increase. I mean, council did actively discuss many, many different options. Yes, we had a public hearing on that option. But we discussed many different options: less, higher, middle, no. And it wasn't a surprise to me, if you paid attention to what was going on in the budget hearings and the budget conversations, that this might have been a nice compromise. And even with this nice compromise, if the projections of staff are right, which we don't know, we could be looking at more money needed. If the economy picks up and turns around, we would need less. No one has a crystal ball. But you kind of shut off, Don, because you really didn't want to pay for any tax increase. So I'm kind of a little lost on what you're doing here. I mean, this council took an active role to try and keep the level of the services in this community to a certain point. We have to cut $1.3 million from this budget. And are people ready for their streets taking an extra hour to be plowed or just salted, and then to be plowed? Taking a route from 1 hour to 3 hours just to salt, and then taking a route from 3 hours to 5 hours maybe to be plowed. And then instead of doing 4 to 5 runs on our streets during a snowstorm, they do 2 because drivers need a rest. We are in that sort of issue here. The traffic division. It's a nice thing that we do here. When people, the number one complaint in this community is speeding. We have a division that spends all of its time speed controlling, stop signs, safety control on streets. Without that, it has to be done during patrol. The Crime Watch Department, working diligently to get 1,000 people strong to help protect our communities, tied into a network with all our technology. That could be gone. The Recreation Department that we rival other communities for could be gone. The lights on the ball fields in the summer and in the fall could be off. These are all the things that are on the table. And it was very clear in the budget hearings. So, Mr. Harrison, to me, many of these things are necessities. To you, they might be niceties. So, and I think most of the people in this community, they are necessities because that defines who we are. So those are the tough decisions that we're going to make. And we will make those decisions. We already did. But whatever the people says, we will do. We will honor that. We are honorable people that we will honor, and we will do it. But, Don, I'm just so disappointed in you. I really am. I mean, you got yourself so embroiled before these budget hearings that you just weren't listening. You just didn't engage yourself within them. And you didn't. But in your Don Harrison fashion, now you will do all this work to repeal this instead of doing the work to help it to begin with. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. McLean.
Thank you. I'm not going to repeat many of the things that members of this council have said, but my own experience with this process has been that what Mr. Hannon said is exactly what happened. Staff did a very good job of doing projections for the next few years. And when you do projections and you go out more than one budget year and you go into a second and a third year, you have to be conservative, and those numbers end up being high. And we made a decision that while staff did the job we asked them to do and came back with a 1.25 mil increase, that was not what we were going to support because it was based on projections into the future.
At the same time, what we said, and this is the same thing that I said before, and when we adopted the ordinance last month, and what I said before that, at the same time, we are not going to put this community at risk to have basic services and basic aspects that make this community a community put at risk. So we found the responsible level at which to address this situation. Not the highest that was recommended, but certainly not the one that would put things in jeopardy. But to put some things in perspective with some numbers, the rainy day fund, if you want to call it that, it's a reserve, but the rainy day fund for the budget for next year will be $1.7 million. That is $1 million higher than the rainy day fund we had for this past year. So we are not being oblivious to that aspect of the budget. Secondly, in 2013, this is the projection portion of it, there's $2.6 million of capital reserves allotted in that budget. Now we know that we are not going to do $2.6 million worth of capital projects. That is a function of the fact that capital projects build up over time, and when staff sits down and looks at what capital projects are in there, they have that number there. But it doesn't mean that when 2013 comes, we're going to approve that much, which is why there won't be a negative rainy day reserve come 2013. We will go through this process again. We will look again at the projects that matter. We will prioritize them. This is an ongoing process that you have to do every year. But we are not being irresponsible. We weren't in this process, and we aren't doing that now. Now, if the exercise of a right under our home rule charter means that we are going to be brought with a request by the people to look again at this budget, we are going to exercise our municipal obligation to do that. But what we're trying to tell people right now, it isn't something we ignored before. It's something we looked at hard. And it will not be easy, because when you look at the budget that we have and you say take another $1.3 million out, you're going to start to affect people in their daily lives. Not just with niceties that some people use and some people don't. It's going to start to affect a lot of those basic things that people have come to not only expect, but to deserve as part of being in a community. And I think we just need to fairly advise people that that's what's in the balance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Any other discussion from council?
Mr. Meyer?
Mr. Allen.
I just wanted to add one more item, that basically what we have here is the saying, you either pay now or pay later. And what I mean by that is, you know, we do have a substantial amount in the budget next year for the road program, $800,000. Sure, we can take that out and not do anything. But what's going to happen to those roads 2-3 years from now? Eventually, and we have one of the nicest road systems in the South Hills, and we want to keep it that way. Gene does a great job identifying every year what roads need fixed, which ones need repaved, and so on. That program can be eliminated. Do we want to do it? No. It's the same thing when we were talking before about one of the items that came to us was a new salt truck. Because of the program that Mr. Segrimus has us under, everything is maintained continually through the future. Can we eliminate one of those trucks for next year? Sure. It's $80,000. When do we buy the one to replace that? 2 years from now? 3 years from now? We've looked at all the different items. And Mr. McLean mentioned health, safety, and welfare is the most important thing that we can do here. But there are items that if you want to eliminate, you would be forced to eliminate, but I really don't think that the residents of Bethel Park would want us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Any other discussion?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Henry.
Just to follow up on what Jack was saying, some of the other things that you could think about is this is one of the few communities where the residential garbage collection is in the tax base. If you go call your neighbors in South Park Township, call your neighbors in other towns, they pay a fee. And that fee is not part of their taxes. That's over and above their taxes. We could pass an ordinance taking that out of the tax base, and that's $1.1 million right there. And you'd have to pay a fee, and that's approximately I'd say $160 per household per year. So think about it. There's things that can be done to trim this tax rate. There's a lot of things that can be done. But we want this community to maintain itself and be a community worth living in. And for the older people in this town, at some point you're going to want to sell your house to somebody, not to have it deteriorate and have the roads deteriorate so nobody wants to move in this town. We want to keep the value of your community together. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Any other discussion? Any other resident comments? Hearing none, can we turn to general policy and finance? And Mr. Hannon, we have no residents signed up to speak.
All righty, Mr. First item is the 2012 regular council meeting dates. I move that we approve the following year 2012 regular council meeting dates with a starting time of 7:30 p.m. January 9th, February 13th, March 12th, April 9th, May 14th, June 11th, July 9th, August 13th, September 10th, October 8th, November 12th, December 10th.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the following year 2012 regular council meeting dates with a starting time at 7:30 p.m. on January 9th, February 13th, March 12th, April 9th, May 14th, June 11th, July 9th, August 13th, September 10th, October 8th, November 12th, and December 10th.
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Hannon.
If you haven't figured out, that's the second Monday of the month.
Yes, our council meetings have been, and it's outlined in the Home Rule Charter, the second Monday of every month. This is no change from the last 20 or 30 years. Is there any other discussion on this item? Mr. Spagnuolo, would you please call the roll?
Givens.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Lowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes. Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Hannon.
Next item is the year 2012 tax anticipation note. I move that we adopt the resolution relative to the proposal submitted by Brentwood Bank for the year 2012 tax anticipation note in accordance with the Finance Director's correspondence dated November 30th, 2011.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We adopt a resolution relative to the proposal submitted by Brentwood Bank for the year 2012 tax anticipation note in accordance with the Finance Director's correspondence dated November 30th, 2011. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagnuolo, would you please call the roll?
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Lowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Hannon.
Next item is the GASB 54 policy. I move that we approve the fund balance policy developed in accordance with the Government Accounting Standard Board's Statement Number 54.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the fund balance policy developed in accordance with the Government Accounting Standards Board Statement Number 54. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagnuolo, would you please call the roll?
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Lowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Hannon.
Next item is an ordinance increasing emergency and non-emergency transport fees and associated fees by the Tri-Community South Emergency Medical Service in Bethel Park. I move that we approve the ordinance increasing emergency and non-emergency transport fees and associated fees by Tri-Community South Emergency Medical Service in Bethel Park.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the ordinance increasing emergency and non-emergency transport fees and associated fees by the Tri-Community South Emergency Medical Services in Bethel Park. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagnuolo, would you please call the roll?
McLean.
Yes.
Lowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Hannon.
We have no further agenda items under general policy and finance, Mr. President.
Are there any additional items?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Harrison.
We've talked a lot about money and taxes tonight. At a meeting that the fire company had here a couple weeks ago, I promised them that I'd try to remember every month for the next 12 months to remind the people that we have a volunteer fire company. They get a considerable amount of their money from individuals and businesses making contributions. And if they can't get enough money from contributions and we have to go to a paid fire company, if you think we've been talking about big money tonight, that'd be real big money. So I just want to take the opportunity, and like I say, I told them I'd try to remember each month to remind the people that they really ought to make contributions to the volunteer fire company. We have a very good fire company, and they can't survive if they don't get enough money for equipment and this type thing. So please consider that. And I don't know the exact number, but I understand that less than 50% of the households in Bethel Park, and even less of the businesses, make contributions. And I think that's not very brisk. Thank you very much.
Mr. Meyer.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the announcement by Mr. Carr. Unfortunately, he left this evening, but to talk a little bit about what has happened today. Mr. Bello is the chair of the petition committee, has submitted and given council notice, along with 4 other residents, that they want to proceed in collecting signatures to challenge the ordinance that was passed setting our new millage rate. Having said that, now that it's filed today, Mr. Bello and his group, that it does not include Mr. Harrison, by the way, he's just Mr. Bello's understudy. This group has 60 days, to collect the $2,800 signature, or 2,800 signatures. Once that's done, it'll come to the municipality. We then, the manager accepts these. He then turns them, we go to the Department of Elections, and this will probably be placed, if the signatures are gathered, will be on the April ballot for the public to vote on whether the increase goes through or not. I think we talked in the caucus room a little bit about what this means. What this means to us, or what council has done, is we had to put a freeze on all capital spending at this time. Any spending that is non-essential for the operation of the municipality will have to come through council. This will not affect the operations of the police department and snow removal. And what we're asking the staff to do is to create a budget as if this 0.75 mil tax increase did not come through. $1.3, $1.4 million. We ask them to propose that to us. I believe we meet on January 23rd, which is a Monday night, in the caucus room, and if there's enough people, I would ask that we reserve council chambers, that we can come out here, and we want people to be part of this. We want everybody to see some of the decisions that we need to make, what services are going to be cut. This includes everything. This includes trucks, this includes capital, this includes vehicles, it includes the road program, it includes charging additional fees, as Mr. Harrison alluded to last month, user fees for other facilities. So this will be a proposal to council that we have a chance to look at it and really come up with the game plan as if this tax increase is going to be repealed. So when the April comes and the committee's successful, they in turn will have the opportunity, the public will, to make a decision on whether the increase goes through or not, and what the trade-off is going to be for the reduction in what the millage rate is. So stay tuned. Staff will be working over the holidays developing this, and in addition to this, we also have a collective bargain agreement we're working with the Teamsters, and we are also, our contract with the police department expires and will, I believe, go into arbitration with the police department. So there are 2 other projects they're working on. Both contracts expire at the end of the year. The police will be uninterrupted, and we're hoping we can come to a satisfactory resolution with our Teamsters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
I just want to let the record show that this stipulation of the Home Rule Charter has only been used one time before in Bethel Park, and Mr. Murray was an active participant in getting the signatures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Any other items?
Mr. Allen,
Mr. Dixon.
I have a comment I'd like to make. The use of the term earlier of an unnecessary tax increase, I think, is a relative term. I don't know what, I wish the gentleman was still here, because I don't know what that was based on, what was unnecessary. I guarantee I would not have voted for a tax increase if I thought it was unnecessary. So I'd like to know the criteria. you know, I think that this is fantastic that we have citizen involvement in the politics of the community, exercising their rights under the Home Rule Charter. I think it's fantastic. Citizen involvement is what we advocate up here all the time, and we welcome people to come and express their opinion to us, especially on issues of taxation. Going through the process that we went through prior to the tax increase was excruciating. We've taken the paring knife to the budget on a number of occasions. You know, when you're talking about the budget at the state level, the budget at the federal level, there's a lot of room to cut. There's a lot of fat in those budgets, and you can trim those budgets down significantly. But this community does not have a lot of fat in the budget. In fact, we have no fat in the budget. We're trimming services now. We eliminated a position in the Public Works Department. We eliminated a position in the Police Department. We're to that level now. We're not just threatening to do something like that. We've done it already. And we're at the level now where we are talking about cutting services. So when you use the term unnecessary tax increase, I don't know the criteria that you're using to base that claim on. I don't know what's unnecessary. And I certainly don't know how you came up with the term unnecessary, because part of citizen involvement is we ask you to get involved during the budgeting process as well. Throughout the year, we want citizens to be involved. We want your input. We had a number of budget meetings. We had public hearings on the budget. We talked about the budget for at least 2 council meetings prior to the November passage of that ordinance, and we didn't have anybody from the community. Not Mr. Bello, not anybody from the community came here and gave us a single solitary opinion on where they thought the budget should go. Only after the budget ordinance was passed do we get the feedback. And I welcome the feedback. Please, don't get me wrong. I encourage what you're doing. I think it's a good thing. I only wish you had gotten involved prior to the passage of the ordinance. We would have taken your input then, and perhaps you would have seen where we are in the deliberations here, what we're trying to fund, the services that we're trying to fund, and so forth. We just don't have that much room, and now, as Mr. Mowry has indicated, we've eliminated all capital expenditures. We've taken a number of drastic steps that are going to essentially shut things down in the community, except for the most necessary services, police and public works and so forth. So I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching. Again, I want to reaffirm that I welcome your input and your commitment. I only wish that it had come before the budget ordinance was passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just to add
Mr. O'Brien.
a few more things just off the top of my mind, possibly reducing the hours at the community center or even possibly closing it, doing away with the dispatch center, the Swift Reach program. Everything is on the table now, everything. This can seriously change the way we do business in Bethel Park and the way services are for the people. So they have to understand, truly understand, that it will change. Their services and their way of dealing with the municipality and the way they come to know the way their life is here will change. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mowry, I do have one more thing I wanted to add. It's just Mr. Hannon mentioned earlier about some South Park Township charging a separate fee for garbage collection. I have family that live in a neighboring community, and in fact it's Mount Lebanon, and they are instituting a fee to every residential property and commercial property in Mount Lebanon based on the amount of paving that they have in their yard. They have, I don't know if you heard about this, Mr. McDermott.
Stormwater fee.
It's a stormwater fee. They have to They have to do some repairs to their stormwater collection system, so there is a flat fee for a residential neighborhood property, and then commercial properties have much more paving, bigger parking lots and so forth. That includes churches and schools as well. I have a nephew that goes to Seton LaSalle, and they're looking at a $60,000 assessment per year based on the amount of paving that they have. So there are other communities that try to keep their millage low by shifting the burden to user fees and things like that. And that's something that we've talked about up here too. We just didn't want to do it. We just wanted to keep everything in the budget where it was transparent and everybody could see what they're paying for in the budget without nickel and diming people to death. So I just thought of that when Mr. Hannon mentioned the South Park issue, and I wanted to share that with you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Are there any other discussion? Hearing none, can we turn to planning and zoning and Mr. Dixon? And we have no residents signed up to speak.
Mr. President, we have one item on planning and zoning that did not appear on the agenda, and that is a resolution stating opposition to Pennsylvania proposed House Bill number 1950, the Marcellus Shale Oversight Bill. And I move that we adopt the resolution stating opposition to Pennsylvania proposed House Bill number 1950, the Marcellus Shale Oversight Bill.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the resolution stating opposition to the Pennsylvania proposed House Bill number 1950, the Marcellus Shale Oversight Bill. Is there any discussion of this item?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Hannon.
What this is currently in the legislature, they are contemplating removal of any kind of local control over oil and gas operations. And in Bethel Park, back in 2010, towards the summer and early fall, we went through a significant process of trying to protect the properties in Bethel Park, to have some control, some say, over this burgeoning system of oil and gas exploration. And we amended our zoning ordinance to deal with this issue. But what this bill does, it exempts the oil and gas industry from any local regulation, so they can do what they want to do without any kind of local control. So the purpose of this resolution is to support them not to pass this bill, which takes local control away from in the zoning aspects of oil and gas exploration.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Harrison.
I've taken a particular interest in this. I've attended many meetings, including in Washington County. There's a lot more drilling in that county than any other area around here. So I recognize the concern about it. But we got a resolution handed to us in the caucus room that I have not had a chance to read, and I think there must have been plenty of time to send it to us. We all have email and that type thing. I suspect it's okay, but I don't know what it says, so I'm going to vote no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. For lack of correcting Mr. Harrison yet again, Mr. Hannon emailed this out to everybody last week, Mr. Hannon?
At least.
More than a week ago. He acknowledged in the email that he forgot to bring it to our last committee meeting, but it was emailed to everybody, including Mr. Harrison. So maybe he needs to check his emails now and again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Any other comments? Mr. Spavin, please call the roll.
Murray.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
No.
McLean.
Yes.
7.
Motion passes 7-1, Mr. Dixon.
That's it, Mr. Mowry. I'm out.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Mr. McLean in Health, Safety, and Welfare?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have no items on the agenda this evening under Health, Safety, and Welfare.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additional items?
There are no additional items.
Thank you very much. At this time, can we turn to the long-lost Mr. O'Brien? We noted last month that He went out for Halloween and didn't come back because he didn't have a little blinker on. But this time, I'd like to turn to Public Works and Maintenance to Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. I found my battery and my blinker is working, and I found my way home. First item is sodium bicarbonate contract. I move that we award a 3-year contract from sodium bicarbonate 50-pound bags at the Piney Fork Wastewater Treatment Plant to Barber Chemical for a low bid of .264 per pound for 2012, .274 per pound for 2013, and .288 per pound for 2014, in accordance with the Director of Community Services correspondence dated December 1st, 2011.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We award a 3-year contract for sodium bicarbonate 50-pound bags at the Piney Fork Wastewater Treatment Plant to Barber's Chemicals for a low bid of .264 per pound for 2012, .274 per pound for 2013, and .288 per pound for 2014. In accordance with the Director of Community Service correspondence dated December 1st, 2011. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Blaine.
Yes.
Mott.
Yes. Motion passes 8-0. Mr. O'Brien.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other items on the agenda, but I have a few.
Mr. O'Brien.
First of all, I'd like to let people know that Mr. Pape, John, is doing well, and yesterday was his birthday. So I'd like to wish John Albert Pape a happy birthday. I'm sure he'll be pleased with that.
Shall we sing?
Sure. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you. My phone will be ringing.
Yeah, just for the record, that was Mayor Morton's idea. I think O'Brien seconded that.
Without a second.
You know, most of us talk to him every day. Last month, I attended 2 months ago, I attended a blood drive at the South Hills Assembly of God Church, and it was a wonderful event. And I was talking to a lady named Jean Baldoff who helped organize the event, and she put me in touch with a Mrs. Ryan, and she thought it would be a wonderful idea if we could organize a blood drive, possibly during the holiday season, for the municipality of Bethel Park, because that is a time when blood is very low and donors is very low. So I brought the idea back to Bill and Judy and Municipal Council and Mayor, and they approved it. And I wanted to be really involved and hands-on, but staff and Chuck Stover from the Recreation Department, his staff just embraced the idea and just made it happen within days. So to put this all together this quickly, I make the announcement, and I'm sure it's all over flyers all over town. The first annual Bethel Park Community Center Holiday Blood Drive, Thursday, December 29th, 2011, 12 a.m. to 6 p.m., the Bethel Park Community Center, Room C. And Mr. Murray already promised me that he is giving blood. Didn't you, Timothy?
12 p.m. Yes. Absolutely. It's 12 p.m., Mr. O'Brien.
12 p.m. Well, it has 12 a.m. here on the
It's
on
12
the flyer.
p.m. to 6 p.m.
Well,
See you at midnight.
Yeah.
you can reach. They prefer that you make appointments so they know they can give you the time. You can make it at www.centralbloodbank.org. The donor code is C604 or call 1-866-DONOR1. And anyone that comes to get blood, according to the flyer, gets 2 cinema tickets. So that's a wonderful thing. So I hope we can make this an annual event every year, and I hope it goes well.
You need to be pre-registered to get the tickets.
Okay, there you go.
Correcting you again, Mr. O'Brien.
That's fine, Mr. Murray. We want to get it right.
Thank you.
And the
Go ahead, I thought you were...
no, Don. No, I'm done with the blood drive. You want to add to it? Oh.
Any additional items?
Yeah, I have one other item.
One more, O'Brien.
Last month, I lost a friend. He was part of the greatest generation. I think I've been very blessed in my life and in this council seat to come in contact with this generation. They're simply amazing. No matter what, they accept what is given to them, and they try to make the best of it. They stand for honor, they stand for duty, they stand for God, family, and country. And no matter what I ever needed, this man was always there for me. And he had a philosophy. There's no problem too big in the world that you couldn't solve with a box of donuts and a cup of coffee. I think we could use him here tonight. He never really sought any notoriety in his life. He just worked hard, and he did everything he possibly could do for his family. I will miss my friend and my father-in-law, Sergeant Francis J. Haley, 90 years young. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items?
Mr. Murray,
Mr. Harrison.
since you gave me a title I don't know whether I deserve as understudy to Mr. Bello, I might as well take the opportunity to encourage people to sign the petition, to call the hotline, volunteer to circulate petitions. And I'm sure Mr. Murray remembers we got about 40% more signatures the last time than we needed. So I agree with him. There's no doubt that this tax petition committee will be successful. What it leads to, time will tell. Thank you.
I will just reiterate my challenge. We wouldn't need to do the signatures if Mr. Harrison was able to come up with the $1.4 million worth of cuts and propose to council, and we wouldn't be in this predicament. Are there any additional items?
Move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Her parents weren't even sure she'd make it to her 5th birthday. But because someone like you took the time to give their unique gift of blood, this little girl was given a second chance at life. Help save the life of someone right here in Western Pennsylvania. To find a nearby location where you can donate blood, visit centralbloodbank.org or call 1-866-DONORS1.
Merry Christmas, Bethel Park. I'm Dave Cable, the director of BPTV, and I'm here to read for you the holiday classic, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, Oh, hey, George.
I'm not George. I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
I don't know. You look an awful lot like my volunteer, George.
Well, you are gravely mistaken. I am a ghost.
All right then, Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present. Why don't you come up here on the hot seat and explain to me why you had to come in here and interrupt my holiday special?
I would just like to wish everybody in Bethel Park a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and to remind you all to watch all the great holiday programming right here on BPTV.
You know, you didn't have to pretend to be a ghost to come in here and say that.
But I am a ghost.
So, do you think you could look a little more festive?
Sure.
You know, that's not too bad.
You should see some of my other tricks I got up my sleeve.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Her parents weren't even sure she'd make it to her 5th birthday. But because someone like you took the time to give their unique gift of blood, this little girl was given a second chance at life. Help save the life of someone right here in Western Pennsylvania. To find a nearby location where you can donate blood, visit centralbloodbank.org or call 1-866-DONORS1.
Merry Christmas, Bethel Park. I'm Dave Cable, the director of BPTV, and I'm here to read for you the holiday classic, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, Oh, hey, George.
I'm not George. I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
I don't know. You look an awful lot like my volunteer, George.
Well, you are gravely mistaken. I am a ghost.
All right then, Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present. Why don't you come up here on the hot seat and explain to me why you had to come in here and interrupt my holiday special?
I would just like to wish everybody in Bethel Park a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and to remind you all to watch all the great holiday programming right here on BPTV.
You know, you didn't have to pretend to be a ghost to come in here and say that.
But I am a ghost.
So, do you think you could look a little more festive?
Sure.
You know, that's not too bad.
You should see some of my other tricks I got up my sleeve.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Her parents weren't even sure she'd make it to her 5th birthday. But because someone like you took the time to give their unique gift of blood, this little girl was given a second chance at life. Help save the life of someone right here in Western Pennsylvania. To find a nearby location where you can donate blood, visit centralbloodbank.org or call 1-866-DONORS1.
Merry Christmas, Bethel Park. I'm Dave Cable, the director of BPTV, and I'm here to read for you the holiday classic, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, Oh, hey, George.
I'm not George. I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
I don't know. You look an awful lot like my volunteer, George.
Well, you are gravely mistaken. I am a ghost.
All right then, Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present. Why don't you come up here on the hot seat and explain to me why you had to come in here and interrupt my holiday special?
I would just like to wish everybody in Bethel Park a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and to remind you all to watch all the great holiday programming right here on BPTV.
You know, you didn't have to pretend to be a ghost to come in here and say that.
But I am a ghost.
So, do you think you could look a little more festive?
Sure.
You know, that's not too bad.
You should see some of my other tricks I got up my sleeve.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Her parents weren't even sure she'd make it to her 5th birthday. But because someone like you took the time to give their unique gift of blood, this little girl was given a second chance at life. Help save the life of someone right here in Western Pennsylvania. To find a nearby location where you can donate blood, visit centralbloodbank.org or call 1-866-DONORS1.
Merry Christmas, Bethel Park. I'm Dave Cable, the director of BPTV, and I'm here to read for you the holiday classic, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, Oh, hey, George.
I'm not George. I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
I don't know. You look an awful lot like my volunteer George.
Well, you are gravely mistaken. I am a ghost.
All right then, Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present. Why don't you come up here on the hot seat and explain to me why you had to come in here and interrupt my holiday special?
I would just like to wish everybody in Bethel Park a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and to remind you all to watch all the great holiday programming right here on BPTV.
You know, you didn't have to pretend to be a ghost to come in here and say that.
But I am a ghost.
So, do you think you could look a little more festive?
Sure.
You know, that's not too bad.
You should see some of my other tricks I got up my sleeve.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Her parents weren't even sure she'd make it to her 5th birthday. But because someone like you took the time to give their unique gift of blood, this little girl was given a second chance at life. Help save the life of someone right here in Western Pennsylvania. To find a nearby location where you can donate blood, visit centralbloodbank.org or call 1-866-DONORS1.